Is there any brand more in decline than Mortal Kombat? It doesn't seem so, as they're so goddamn hell-bent on ruining any kind of fan goodwill they have by making sure to burn every single little bit of quality that was left in that once wonderful franchise. As the trailer for Mortal Kombat 2, the movie, not the game, has been revealed. And let me tell you, Mortal Kombat 1 looked so offensive as a Mortal Kombat fan that I objectively and thoroughly refuse to watch it. You can't pay me enough money to put myself through the torture of watching some no-name made-up protagonist who never existed in the story completely replace the more iconic characters. I don't care if you think Johnny Cage wouldn't sell well, he would've, because that's who people like. That's, the protagonist of the Mortal Kombat franchise. But if we see Cole die, I'll be fine, and then I might watch it. But no, instead they have to reveal every single thing and make it look as terrible as possible. A lot of the costumes look dollar store level, and nobody really looks like the people they're supposed to be playing. And especially, the number one biggest offense that everyone is complaining about is, of course, Jade, where you take one of the hottest people in Mortal Kombat, in gaming history in general, and you give her a shaved head and a really lame outfit, and you give her one of the ugliest masks anyone's had the displeasure to look at, and you pretend like it's all fine. Don't get me wrong, Tati Gabrielle is a very hot woman, but doesn't have hair. She could have hair. Tati Gabrielle looks quite attractive with hair, but instead they decided, nah, we're not going to give Jade any of that. And then of course we have what they're doing to Johnny Cage, taking who was supposed to be this hyper narcissistic, self-centered actor who just left his peak. Instead, they're replacing it with a wannabe Arnold Schwarzenegger, a 90s action star who in the 2020s is completely and utterly pointless because he's been out of the zeitgeist for 30 years. That's not who Johnny Cage should be, and while sure, you can do some quite fun stuff with that kind of Johnny Cage, that's not the Johnny Cage I want for his first appearance in the Mortal Kombat movies of today. The fact that the 90s movies somehow did it better is an absolute embarrassment, and all people working on this project should be let go thoroughly. Now, this trailer isn't all doom and gloom, I will admit. Karl Urban, despite being far too old for the role, looks great as Johnny Cage and really has some of that aesthetic and energy, aside from the fact that, he's 30 years too old. While I've seen better Raiden costumes at $1 General, I'm not going to complain, because that is actually just kind of how Raiden looks. His costume has always looked a tad bit cheap, and I'm at least glad they kept a comically large hat. They're also doing us a massive disservice by not providing us with Mortal Kombat 9 Sonya Blade's costume. Give me that side boob. Kitana's costume, of course, looks alright, but it's fairly similar to the previous one, but still, they chose a very masculine framing for her face. Her face is simply far too round for the Kitana role. They're all supposed to be extremely attractive, and don't get me wrong, this actress probably could look really attractive had they tried, but it really does feel like they're actively trying to uglify her, like they're trying to make them look as close to Mortal Kombat 1, the recent one, in how poorly designed the female characters are. We should really go back to the Mortal Kombat 9 style. The portal room looks fine, I'll give them that one for free, because they actually did make it look, well, like the portals. And here he is, the man who ruined the first movie, back to ruin this one. And then, of course, this is the one that most people are complaining about. This is supposed to be Jade. So tell me why she looks like a generic Night Sister from the Clone Wars. She doesn't look anything like Jade. Jade is a beautiful, luxurious woman with long, flowing locks. And we'll get more on that later. Right now, I'm just looking through the trailer to see how everything looks. But this is an absolute bastardization of how Jade is intended to look. Also, what's the deal with the head tattoos? Jade's skin is relatively clear. Now, a lot of people are complaining about the way that Baraka looks. Personally, I don't have much of an issue. His mouth looks a little goofy and it moves in incredibly incorrect ways. It just looks wrong, almost as though they used AI on the mouth because of how fluid it moves. But I don't have too much of an issue with the design here as it stands. And I will admit, Noob Saibot looks great. They did a fantastic job getting his design perfect. It looks fantastic. I have to give props where they're due. But that doesn't outweigh a lot of the negative that we're seeing. Actually, scratch that now that I think about it. It looks way too close to the Mortal Kombat 11 design for Noob Saibot, which was, of course, not a very fantastic game. And just here is a list of all the different character designs for the movie, and of course, you can see why a lot of people have a lot of problems. The masks for Kitana and Jade look heavily underwhelming. Jade is, of course, bald. And why does Jade's staff have a visage of Shao Kahn on the tip? That simply doesn't make any sense. Of course, Cole Young's still here, which is a massive turnoff for most people. Shao Kahn looks goofy as all hell. And of course, what is this they're doing with Kano? In fact, I'm almost shocked they didn't have Karl Urban play Kano. That would have almost made more sense. And it looks like we're right back to Tanya in Mortal Kombat 1 all over again because people are throwing a massive fit, rightfully, over the horrendous design that they've chosen for Jade, with just endless tweets about how bad it is. I mean, we have seen Tati Gabrielle with hair, and she is gorgeous with hair. There's no reason not to have either had her grow her out, or, and hear me out, crazy idea, give her a wig so that she looks proper for the movie. Jade has hair. Jade has great hair. Why don't we, I don't know, keep it there? I mean, Jade has had a relatively consistent look. She's always been slightly darker, she's always had long flowing hair, and she's always had a relatively attractive outfit. For the time period and technology, we're going to ignore the Mortal Kombat 2 costume. But in every single one of these, you can see Kitana has a relatively consistent design. This one's by far the best, being in Mortal Kombat 9. And even, for some reason, the Mortal Kombat X mobile game has a better design for her than the actual movie does. That is concerning. Mortal Kombat 11, which is known for when they really started to uglify the characters, still had a far better looking Jade than this current Tati Gabrielle design. I'm sorry, but that's quite indefensible, and a lot of people seem to agree, such as Epic Mike here. I'm glad that folk are excited about Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, but the second I saw Cole, he was the worst character in Mortal Kombat movie, including Annihilation. Yes, he's 100% correct. Cole has no right being there. Some people deciding whether or not they think Baraka looks iffy or not, but of course, most people out here talking about this right here. Now, Todd Garner, somebody who's working on the movie, specifically says that the movie has some reason why Tati Gabrielle's bald. I don't care. I don't care if the movie throws in a one-liner explanation as to why Jade is bald, yet don't put Jade in her first live-action appearance and make her bald. Society reviews, a good friend. I'm tired of being told to accept downgrade, especially when it hasn't been long enough to forget what you had. And this was Jade in the Mortal Kombat Annihilation movie, where she looks spot on. Sure, she's missing a few assets, but don't get me wrong, this costume still looks great for a Mortal Kombat costume, and she has the hair and the bow staff. And then, of course, this is just what she looks like in games like Mortal Kombat 9 and Deadly Alliance. Somebody modified the scenes that we have to make her look far more accurate to the games, and let me just say, this looks fantastic. This looks perfect. This is exactly what we actually want, because it looks like Jade. So the mob is bitching that Jade is bald in the Mortal Kombat 2 movie. She has green garbs, a bow, and looks like a warrior, as she should. I don't see the problem. From Javier Mendoza. Let's see if anyone in the comments agrees with Javier Mendoza. I've already looked at this, so we both know that they don't. So, of course, we had the claim, and do they think her look won't evolve over the franchise from Todd Garner? Todd, we don't care if it evolves. That doesn't matter. It does not matter if she has hair later in the franchise. That's irrelevant, because she doesn't have hair right now. Maybe if she had hair in this movie and the next one, she lost her hair for whatever reason, that's fine. But the fact that she's missing hair right now is the problem. So, producer of Mortal Kombat 2, you can suck my dick. I don't care whether or not it's going to evolve or she's going to have hair in the future. She needs it right now for this movie-accurate design. From Johnny 2.0, replying to Javier Mendoza, movie Jade looks awful. And yes, it is the hair. That Star Wars girl. Notice how when I cosplay Jade, I look more like her than the actual actress. It's because I'm wearing a costume, which is all Hunter wears. I'm sure Bo will look great as a Zelda. And here's the thing, this is what they're looking at Jade, and to be clear, this is a phenomenal cosplay. The lighting effect on the staff looks great, the lighting looks great, and oh my god, she's got hair. And that's exactly what's missing. This costume would mostly be fine if she just had hair. That's all they needed to do to fix this. Now, some people are out here making a huge fit, claiming that we're all being racist, we're just being bigots, because we're refusing to accept Tati Gabrielle as a bald person for this role. Nobody cares as Tati. Nobody cares that she's black, because Jade's always been darker skinned. People care because she is bald. Now, I do want to point out that there is a little bit of a coincidence here, that it seems like they might have a bit of an issue with Indian people in Mortal Kombat. Because if you look at these two pictures side by side, you have Jade and you have Tanya. Now, Jade, it's kind of hard to say, but she looks kind of Indian with the darker skin, the olive skin, and the flowing hair. And Tanya having similar skin tone and flowing hair, both of whom have been replaced by uglified black women in their most recent titles. Tati Gabrielle being bald and not looking like her, and then of course this horse mouth abomination that they have pretending to be Tanya in Mortal Kombat 1. But Mortal Kombat isn't a stranger to the uglification crisis within the industry. I mean, don't get me wrong, I adore Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1 for the Sega Genesis. Mortal Kombat vs. DC, one of the worst games ever made, I don't care. That's the wrong game. Mortal Kombat 9. My copy of Mortal Kombat 1 is playing in my at-games Sega Genesis. I have all of the Mortal Kombat games available on PC installed on my PC. In fact, if we take a look at my desktop right now, you'll see that I have this Mortal Kombat 1 wallpaper, which I custom animated to go with when I was playing Mortal Kombat 1. I have Mortal Kombat 9, which I bought a questionably legal Steam key of when they revealed the Mortal Kombat 1 Aftermath, which looked terrible. I have Mortal Kombat X, Injustice Gods Amongst, Injustice 2, Mortal Kombat 11, and Mortal Kombat 1, and I've got them all installed on my computer. Because at the end of the day, I'm a massive Mortal Kombat fan. It is one of the best franchises ever made. It is one of my favorite franchises. And I'm quite furious as to the changes being made. Because it is just bastardizing one of the best fighting game ever made. Mortal Kombat has been and will always be the best fighting game. Just because of the mechanics and the way that it feels. And that's just something that's true. And I'm sorry if you disagree, but I don't care. But the fact that they're going out there and they're trying to kill the franchise as much as possible. It's almost like they're embarrassed to be attached to this, to be attached to the greatest game ever made. They're so ashamed of the culture and the style of game that it was. The game that once pushed every line. It was edgy, it was dark, it was sexy, and it was gory. And now all it is maybe sometimes gory, with even the blood being unbelievably tame in the most recent Mortal Kombat game. And you know, if I had to point my speculative finger, all of the problems with Mortal Kombat did just happen to arise around the time of a specific person starting to work at NRS. Here's my tinfoil hat examination of this all. This person is heavily known for working hard on the Kombat cast, which is where they would show off new content for Mortal Kombat, and is quite annoying. And also a lead QA analyst for NetherRealm Studios, being Stephanie Brownback, who most prevalently started working on games with Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1. And wouldn't you know, those are the games that really were problematic. Those were the games that really did suck. Now, he apparently worked on Mortal Kombat X, Injustice Mobile, which I have been playing recently, because I like that game, and Injustice Gods Among Us, and the mobile game version of Injustice Gods Among Us. So Stephanie's been there for a while, but problem is, to my knowledge, around the time of Mortal Kombat 11, Stephanie put on a wig, and yet has an Adam's apple. So yes, doing a quick search, Stephanie Brownback was Steve Brownback prior to the release of Mortal Kombat 11, and wouldn't you know, this person who's heavily influential in the running of these games, and how these games are made. After coming out as trans, after putting on a little dress and a wig, and still having an Adam's apple, suddenly the quality of games tanks heavily. And I'm not the only person who's noticed this, such as people making video essays known as The Curse of Stephanie Brownback, which I just now found out about. I need to watch that later, because I'm firmly convinced that there is only a little bit of coincidence in this person coming out, and the quality of these games, and the level of sexiness and transgression in these games heavily decreasing. Mortal Kombat is, in all sense of the word, an uglified franchise. It's one that has been bastardized, been destroyed. The sexiness and the transgression and the crazy costumes have all been stripped away, all in favor of modernity cloths and censorship. The blood and gore has all been reduced to nothing more than a gimmick instead of something that's defining. It just comes out as being cringy instead of, you know, what it once was, pushing the ledger. This is the game that helped create the NSRB and age ratings for games. And now it's nothing more than a parlor trick that likes to show off something that you can see pretty much every other day. And when they're so concerned about ruining their prior legacy, who's to stop them? I'm not going to buy the DLC for Mortal Kombat 1 until it's $5. And you know what? Instead, I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to order a copy of Deadly Alliance for the GameCube. I'm going to order a copy of Armageddon for my Wii. And I'm going to get all these copies of the classic games because those are what matter. Those are what are worth playing, and that's where the franchise thrived and where it stayed. Mortal Kombat 9 did an excellent job of bringing it back, and of course had some of the best costumes, from Scarlet to Mileena Costume 3, if you know what I'm talking about there, to all of it. It's a fantastic game. Mortal Kombat X, which started to have a little bit of problems, such as characters not being quite as hot, though I think that's just the engine they were using. Mortal Kombat 11, where they really started to push the line into DEI and wokeness, making characters significantly more ugly, remove their femininity, and also wussifying a lot of male characters and subverting them in place of female ones. And then Mortal Kombat 1, where they restarted the timeline. And now, of course, all of the evil women are just good guys now. Sindel is only doing things wrong because she's trying to do what's best. Mileena is only evil because she's infected by a mind-controlling virus. And, no, of course, nobody is to blame. And Tanya, who also just now isn't evil. She's just loyal to Mileena, who's dating now. Because, of course, when I think about who I want my queer representation to be. The perfect picture of that is the hideous monster with giant gnashing teeth designed to kill her cloned to kill the original person she was cloned after. That's who I want my LGBT representation to be. Thanks a lot, NRS. And sure, we have Kunshin, who's also gay, and you know, I'm actually fine with him. Aside from the fact he's a petulant little bitch, at least he has character flaws and is allowed to have them, unlike Melina, who all of her flaws are purely because she's a poor victim of her circumstances. I don't care, and I'm not going to take that. Such a shame to see such a fantastic franchise die and burn, but, you know, when you take the bug of wokeness, you're going to swallow it whole, and you're going to get what you deserve, and this movie is probably going to make a lot of money, because it's going to be a fun action flick, but tell me, how did Mortal Kombat 1 sell? Oh, that's right, poorly. And how's the next Mortal Kombat game gonna look? Probably the same. Remember, Mortal Kombat 1 did so bad, they canceled the last 2 DLCs. But that's pretty much what I've got. Let me know in the comments, are you guys excited for this movie? Do you think the fact that Tati Gabrielle doesn't have hair is excusable, or the biggest red flag and going to kill this movie? I'm curious what you guys think, and I will see you guys on the next one.